A woman and her young daughter are assaulted inside their Los Angeles home one night in early 2023. Security footage shows a man leaving the house after the assaults. Months later, 3,000 miles away, a young mother of 5 goes out for a walk along a popular hiking trail and fails to return home. A day later, her boyfriend faces some tough questions. In what has become a very controversial case in the heated political climate of late, how are these two cases connected to a murder in another country in January 2023? My name is M. William Phelps. I'm an investigative journalist and the true crime author of close to 50 books. I've dedicated the past 20 years of my life to helping families of the missing and murdered. Join me. We're crossing the line. Along the popular Ma and Pa hiking trail about 30 miles northeast of Baltimore, Maryland, in the town of Bel Air, is a pet memorial. A quiet, peaceful place where joggers, walkers, and hikers can take a minute, rest, and honor the memory of a beloved pet they've lost. Since the COVID outbreak in 2020, it seems everyone has become a hiker. Trails like the Ma and Pa were packed with hikers and walkers during the pandemic. 37-year-old mother of 5, Rachel Morin, was never one of those COVID hiker bandwagon jumpers, taking up the pastime to, forgive this little play on words, pass the time when all of us were going out of our freaking minds being cooped up without much of a social life. Rachel has blonde hair, blue, nearly turquoise eyes, fair skin, a near-perfect smile. A devoted single mother to her 5 kids, she is passionate about fashion and staying in shape, running 5K marathons and lifting weights. Her dedication to her health is patently obvious because Rachel at 37 years old is in better shape than most women in their late teens and early 20s. One of the things you can depend on if Rachel is in the room would be her knack for making people laugh, feel comfortable, and at ease. Family members describe Rachel as a faith-filled, loving, and adventurous woman living her life with an infectious zest, spreading joy wherever she goes. It's August 5th, 2023, about 5 p.m. Rachel is at home and getting ready to head out for a run along the Ma and Pa Trail. She has just recently started dating Richard Tobin. Richard owns his own business, a carpet cleaning service. The dude is, much like Rachel, in incredible shape. Cut muscles, thin waistline, chiseled abs. In some photos, Richard sports a Travis Kelce vibe. You know, Taylor Swift's NFL boyfriend. With that same type of beard, a narrow eyeline, and thick caterpillar brows. Rachel arrives near 6 p.m. and, after parking in the Ma and Pa lot, heads out on the trail. This is something she has done more times than she could perhaps recall. It's a Saturday, so the place is bustling with families and others milling around, having fun, getting in a little exercise. It's a humid night, but temperatures are not at all unbearable if you're going for a walk, run, or hike. The Ma and Pa is generally filled with other like-minded people, and Rachel, like most who frequent the trail, are of course mindful, but not necessarily fearful of encountering danger. The trail has never had a reputation for being unsafe. The evening passes. Near 8 p.m., as darkness settles in, Rachel's new boyfriend, Richard Tobin, becomes concerned that he has not heard from her since she left. By 9 p.m. and then 10 p.m., he believes something is wrong. A mother of 5 does not go off radar for more than an hour or 2 at most. This is not something Rachel would ever do. Her kids are her number one priority. She is constantly wondering and worrying about them if she isn't with them. Near 11:30 p.m., Richard understands that Rachel is in trouble. Something is going on. He has not heard from her. In fact, no one in her family has. Had she fallen and hurt herself, maybe? Surely she would have called someone if that were the case. By now, someone would have come across her along the trail and called it in. So the search begins. Strangers and family members, friends and relatives become involved. Everyone is spread out along the trail looking for any sign of Rachel Morin, hoping and praying there is an explanation to this other than what all of them do not want to think about. It is clear she made it to the trail because police find her vehicle in the parking lot. Nothing seems to be off after a search of the car. It was locked. There's no sign of a break-in, no sign of a struggle. Rachel made it to the parking lot, got out of her car with her things, and likely made it to the trail and began her workout. Thinking like an investigator, however, had she met someone at the parking lot? Or did someone see her get out of her vehicle and come up on her? There is no CCTV in the area. It will take some time to get Rachel's cell phone records. So as they assess the situation, police understand she's been gone now for about 8 hours without being in touch. Generally, it's that 24-hour clock before a serious investigation can begin, yet police are looking for her that night. Time, they know, is crucial here. The family understands Rachel does not do this. She is a strong, independent woman of faith and values, and her kids are on her mind at all times. She'd never just leave them, or for that matter, worry them like this. It's a Saturday as well, with people everywhere. Someone must have seen something. So law enforcement puts out word that a hiker is missing. Any information is helpful. Have you seen anything? Do you recognize her photograph? Nothing happens that night. The next day, just after 1 p.m., the Hartford County Sheriff's Office receives a call on its 911 line. Someone walking along the Mon-Pa Heritage Trail came across the body. There is no doubt the young woman is deceased, and as investigators arrive and have a look, indicators, the sheriff's office says, lead them to believe, sadly, it is Rachel Morin. Within hours of news hitting the local airwaves, people frequenting the trail are scared. This after the sheriff comes out and says the trail is generally a safe place, but without the murder of Rachel Morin being solved, they cannot say there isn't a threat to the community, which I think is a smart thing to tell the public. Later into that Sunday night, the sheriff says that he understands the need for people to want to help, specifically social media addicts. But he encourages everyone to take a step back and do not point a finger at anyone. Don't make assumptions, he says. Without saying it, he is referring to the obvious, blaming the boyfriend. I have to laugh, not at the sheriff or the situation, but at the idea that any one of those online sleuthing platforms or true crime TikTok idiots could control themselves with this sort of breaking news content of a young mother of 5 missing and found murdered. It's just too much for them. It disgusts and angers me that some people with a computer and a social media platform feel the need to step into these cases and begin to give their opinions, spreading misinformation and false information. But it is the world in which we live today. I suggest you tune it out. Stay focused on the facts and respect law enforcement and the victim's family. And anyone on these platforms hoping for likes and clicks, well, we all know they could give a shit less about victims and their families. Anyway, that night, social media lights up, and the target is the new boyfriend, Richard Tobin, who had come out himself that night and insisted that he had no part in Rachel's death. Nothing whatsoever to do with it. He did, however, mention that he had a somewhat sordid criminal record, adding on Facebook, "Yes, I have a past, but I also have 15 months clean and have changed as a person." This comment only feeds the fodder, giving the sharks cruising the scummy online waters of the internet the chum they need to strike. I think it's important to say we are now in the post-Idaho college murder of 4 students age of spewing whatever theory you have, whatever uneducated guess you feel the need to share with the world, onto the internet in the hopes of gaining some attention. The narcissistic age of social media monsters thinking they can solve murders. I'll stop there, as this topic will only make my blood boil. And perhaps this is a good spot for me to take our first break. Please subscribe to Crossing the Line wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to leave a review of the show, especially on Apple Podcasts. I'm doing this show independently now, free from any corporate or big podcasting media company involvement, which allows me to bring you more of the content you want to hear and have asked me for. This is completely our show. Reviews and subscriptions really help. You are my public relations and social media team now, and without your help, I could not do this. And that support, I must tell you, means everything. It's incredibly humbling. And I want to thank each one of you for listening. We can grow the show together, which will allow me to do even bigger things with it. If you go to crossingtheline.biz or mwilliamphelps.com, you can contact me there to suggest cases or just say hello. And look for me across all social media platforms at M. William Phelps. That's the @ symbol in my name, M. William Phelps. Be right back. Just 1 week before Rachel's body was found, Rachel's family had already been in mourning, grieving the devastating loss of a child from SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Such a significant, unimaginable loss for anyone connected to the child. Just an immense tragedy of tremendous proportions. And here we are a week later. That same family is now dealing with Rachel being murdered. I don't know how some people do it, to be honest. Go on, that is. I have such respect for the strength and resolve they exhibit in the face of such heartbreak. It's an inspiration indicating to me that the human condition can come back from just about anything, even when it doesn't seem possible. At 27 years old, Richard Tobin is 10 years younger than Rachel. Their relationship had taken off like a rocket the week prior to Rachel's death. There's a photo of Rachel in which she is very tanned and seemingly very happy, with a smile from ear to ear. She posted the picture on her Facebook page as kind of a public announcement of dating Richard, along with a note, quote, "From the beach to the mountains." Turns out Richard Tobin's charges stem from misdemeanor crimes of assault and drugs. The kind of crimes you'd expect to find on the record of many admitted substance abusers. On that Sunday night after Rachel's body is found, Tobin posts this: "I love you, Rachel. I would never do anything to her. Let the family and I grieve." The internet sleuths, many of whom hide like trolls under a bridge using aliases and anonymous accounts, light up Richard's page. Hundreds of accusatory posts and comments pointing directly at Tobin as a suspect in Rachel's murder. Imagine, not even 24 hours after Rachel's body has been found, people had gotten hold of Tobin's charging documents and posted them online. They accuse him of the most heinous things. They attack him as if he had murdered Rachel. Maybe he has killed Rachel, but that is not something investigators could figure out in 10 hours to a day without Tobin coming forward and admitting guilt. Just not possible as investigations go. For some reason, however, online sleuths think they can, by not even leaving their disgusting basements and rooms inside their parents' houses, solve murders faster than law enforcement. A guy like Tobin, if he murdered his girlfriend, trust me, will crack like thin ice within a few days. These types cannot hold it together long. He's no Scott Peterson, not some dude who can go on the local news and plead for Rachel's killer to be caught and hold it together when detectives put the squeeze to him in the interrogation room. He's not that guy. And they, law enforcement, are well aware of this. They know that if Richard Tobin murdered Rachel Morin, inside of a week, he'll be wearing metal bracelets and an orange jumpsuit. But that does not happen. By September, no arrest has been made and no suspect identified. The case, though, is being investigated nearly 24/7 by sheriff's office detectives. At this time, the sheriff comes out and says they have already worked through over 1,000 tips and bits of information. Chances are the person who killed Rachel, and we now know also, sadly, raped her, is not a one-time, one-off offender. And that is how he will eventually be caught: DNA or fingerprint information. Let's back up a couple of weeks. In late August, the investigation got a boost when DNA from the Ma crime scene came back, hitting on DNA found at another crime scene in Los Angeles. Yes, California. This was a home invasion and double assault out there. And the perpetrator is caught on a doorbell ring type of security camera while he is leaving the scene. Now, just because there is a match, it doesn't mean they have a name. That person would have to have been part of the system in order for the matching DNA to then spit out a name. And so far, as of September 2023, they do not have that information. Still, they have the dude on camera. He is young, maybe in his early 20s, olive skin, dark black hair, buzzed at the top with the sides shaved completely down to bare skin. The camera did not catch a great view of his face, so there's that. But they have him on video. That assault he committed in California took place back in March 2023. So it was about 5 or so months before Rachel's assault and murder. If we take what he did in California and then the murder of Rachel Morin, it's clear that he is evolving. His crimes escalating. These guys, I can tell you, their crimes do not ever de-escalate. He went from home invasion and assault to murder in 5 months, and God knows what else in between or even before that. He is a ticking time bomb of sexually motivated violence and homicide, and will, law enforcement knows this, commit murder and rape again. It's just a matter of time. And I commend these investigators in Maryland who make a call to the FBI and plead for help. Forensic genealogy can solve this one. They have their killer's DNA and need to get it into the databases fast and begin to build a family tree and figure out where his relatives are. Time is of utter importance. This scum needs to be found and scraped off the crust of the earth, and it needs to be done yesterday, because he is going to kill again. And this is how law enforcement in this country, at its finest, work best. Together, in sync, universally. All with one goal: finding this monster. The sheriff comes out and says they are concerned that they are searching for an evolving serial killer. People are terrified now. The FBI Forensic Genealogy Unit get to work and begin building a tree from the DNA, and they come to a section of that family tree leading them to Maryland, near Bel Air, where Rachel was murdered. Fear is continuing to grow in Bel Air as the community is now alerted to the idea that a serial killer is running around targeting young females. This is a good thing. Fear can work to save lives. In this case, it is warranted, which is why the sheriff went to local media and talked openly about how dangerous this guy is and how people need to be on guard and mindful of their movements and surroundings at all times. As they build out that family tree based on the DNA, the FBI is then led to direct family members of the DNA source living in El Salvador. It's now June 2024, and agents are sent to El Salvador to track down those family members with the thought that their suspect fled the country and is back where his roots are, hiding out. Soon, the FBI get a name. Most importantly, a surname. Martinez Hernandez. They track down his family in El Salvador and begin interviewing them. Everyone in the family points to one particular individual who had fled El Salvador about 8 months before Rachel's murder. Victor Antonio, who was 23 and had disappeared from the country after a local woman in the neighborhood where he lived was found murdered. He is suspected of that crime as well. So Victor is not a suspected serial killer. He is a serial killer. And he is on the run and basically committing violent crimes from one end of the United States to the other. But Victor is not in El Salvador, family members contend. He has not come back since leaving and getting over the border into America illegally. They also have no idea where he might be. That home invasion in California Victor Hernandez is suspected of, I need to mention, one of his victims there is a 9-year-old girl. Victor had committed that vicious crime and taken off to Maryland, where he stayed with family members there, raped and then murdered Rachel Morin. Some time passes, and the FBI gets word that Victor Hernandez might be in, of all places, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So they begin working with the Tulsa PD to see if they can track him down. He is said to be also affiliated with a notorious gang. And so they work that angle of the case and get a solid lead on where Hernandez is likely hanging out. Let's take our final break here. Come right back. When law enforcement agencies set aside pride and ego and do their jobs with passion and respect for victims' families, they can get shit done and get it done quickly. And in a case like this one, that work saves lives. There's no doubt about it. This psychopath, Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez, would have, and we don't really know yet if he hadn't already, killed again. That is a guarantee. The dude is on a raping and killing spree and will not stop until he is locked up. But there's no need to worry, because they do get him. After his arrest in downtown Tulsa at a bar on June 17th, 2024, CBS News refers to Hernandez as an undocumented migrant, which spawns an entire new social argument. Of course, Hernandez denies any part in the crimes he is arrested for, but science doesn't lie. He is a rapist and a multiple murderer, a piece of garbage who took lives at will and raped women and children, a guy who deserves whatever is legally coming to him in the form of punishment. Then new details emerge of just how devious and methodical and premeditated Hernandez was when he attacked Rachel. He hid inside a drainage culvert, and while Rachel was walking along the trail, he grabbed her and took her back down into that culvert. This guy had robbed Rachel's family so much. Nearly a year had passed since her murder, and Rachel would have been looking forward to becoming a grandmother, as one of her kids was about to become a parent themselves. Hartford County, Maryland would have to extradite Hernandez from Tulsa, but there was not going to be any legal problem getting that done. As the case stands now, he is going through the justice system we have designed, likely plead not guilty to muck up that system and cause his victims more pain and suffering, and the citizens who want him executed for his crimes to spend more money trying to get there. The good news is that he is off our streets. He is in jail without the possibility of getting out before his trial, and we are safe from this monster. Obviously, there is a political side to this story, one of which I have no interest in getting involved in and is not the purpose of Crossing the Line. That argument and story is for other podcasters and pundits. I have to try and keep the focus on the victim and their families. Hernandez was expected to be in court in late July 2024. That was pushed. Now a motions hearing is scheduled for October 2024, with his trial date set for October 23rd. I need your help. Please subscribe to Crossing the Line wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget, leave a review of the show, especially on Apple Podcasts, and log on to crossingtheline.biz or mwilliamphelps.com to contact me and suggest cases, or just say hi. And look for me across all social media platforms using the @ symbol and my name, M. William Phelps. Thank you for supporting this show. I am allowed to do it because of you, and that truly means more to me than I can say. Please, be safe, be aware. The sources for today's episode come from Man arrested 10 months after mom of 5 killed along popular hiking trail. Huffington Post by Drusilla Morehouse, June 17, 2024. International murder suspect found, arrested in Tulsa. Tulsa PD news release, June 17, 2024. Rachel Morin's murder suspect tracked by DNA during manhunt that sparked fear in Maryland. CBS News by Mike Helgren, June 17, 2024. Crossing the Line is executive produced by M. William Phelps, LLC, and Matthew Valentinas, Mom's Basement Management. Written by me, M. William Phelps. Audio mastering and mixing by Matt Russell. Original music written and performed by Thomas Mooney, Tom Phelps, and Matt Russell.